Hi, everybody. Before we start the show, I got to remind everybody that our BCC holiday live stream event is December 9th at 9 p.m. at popclounge.com. It's featuring special guest Betsy Sidaro, Sun Eaters, the band that does our theme music, plus some fun surprises. Tickets are on sale right now at popclounge.com. The link is in our bio on Instagram and Twitter. There are limited VIP passes available for meet and greets after the show with Bryce. And now you can also sign up to see me, Michael, or Riley. We were both added for those meet and greets. And they'll be individual, not as a group. So you get to pick your favorite BCC boy you want to hang out with. So the live show is December 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's a Friday night at popclounge.com. Come celebrate the holiday season with your BCC boys. All right. Now it's time for the show.
It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce, Michael, and Riley. I know a story of high strangeness or two. Let's do this.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bigfoot Collectors Club. Welcome back to the Bigfoot Collectors Club. I'm your host, Bryce Johnson. With me always is your co-host,
Michael McMillan.
And our ultra-terrestrial producer,
Riley Bray.
Yeah, what's up, guys? You're probably going, what's going on? This is a little different. Well, you're right. This is Oops All Bryce.
All right.
You asked for it. We're giving it to you. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Just scrambled in from work. Just literally walked in the door and ready to rock.
Nice. Okay, chit chat up top. Good.
Okay, wait.
You can't say chit chat up top. You just do chit chat up top.
Okay. I also feel like
stepping in.
I feel like it's not okay for me to say wait. So
that's
my first.
Not allowed.
We have
That's
to cover the ground rules here for me, not for Bryce.
Oh, okay.
Let's just remind everybody what's happening is that we told Bryce that he was going to run his own episode before the end of the year. It was going to be called Oops All Bryce.
Yeah.
And he's in charge of the whole episode, the whole script. I haven't seen anything. I'm not allowed to micromanage, which I'm already doing a bad job.
Technically doing, yes.
I dropped a little bomb on Mike right before we started. We'll let you in a little later.
I think we have to talk about it now.
What? Okay, sure. We're not going to need it. Don't worry about it.
Okay, but
I swear I saw on the Bigfoot calendar that you were doing a high strangeness tonight.
Bryce, why would I be doing high strangeness on the Oops All Bryce episode?
Well, I don't know. I was curious about that too, because I thought we had a conversation that I would do it, but
yes,
I saw that calendar, and the calendar is God.
No, well, I went to the calendar moments before, and the calendar literally says, Bryce.
Are you calling me a liar?
I'm going to pull it up right now.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It says Bryce High Strangeness and full episode script. And Bryce said to that, okay, great. I don't have a high strangeness. We'll be fine.
All right. I'm excited.
Great.
This is going to be great. Guys, we're not going to need it. We're not going to need it. And I'll tell you why. All right. Here we go. I learned early on from my mother that if you don't do something right, you probably are not going to be asked to do it again. In her case, it was me putting away the dishes. I did a shitty job, and she never asked me to do it again. Lesson learned. Let's see if Oops All Bryce has the same effect on Michael. Now, I want to take this opportunity to thank Michael and Riley for all of the countless hours of hard work that they do creating the wonderful podcast that you're listening to right now.
He's buttering us up. Thanks.
I'm buttering you up. But let's jump right in.
Also, did I hear a bird? Did I hear a bird in the background? Was that a parrot?
I don't know. I did hear something, but birds are cool.
If there is a parrot on this episode, I will be thrilled. I'm just saying that.
I don't have a parrot. I got something better than a parrot because I have an ace up my sleeve. Now, not too long ago while I was working on Expedition Bigfoot, I had the pleasure of meeting one of the most interesting individuals I've met. And he was just radiating this aura, and I knew I wanted to get to know him a little bit better. Well, let me tell you guys, my instincts were right, because not only did our next guest serve our country, but he died for it as well. Kind of. Let's let him explain for himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Bigfoot Club Scouts of all timelines, please welcome to the show, Newton Ward. Hey, Newton, what's going on, man?
Hello. Good evening, ghouls and gals.
Hey, right. I like it. Good,
exactly.
Good. Newton, thanks for being here, and thanks for being here on a wild night.
Exactly. No problem. Beautiful Friday.
This is going to be a beautiful Friday. Newton, why don't we just kind of start with I guess how we met, and yeah, let's start there.
Well, I mean, at the time you met me, I was just getting in with that new crew, and I was doing some PA stuff, and then got promoted basically to camera assistant for the last few weeks. And yeah, that was the Bigfoot. We were doing pickups in the Alaska. What was it? The Alaska house, right? That we had to make.
Yeah,
a lot of good fun and tracking down Bigfoot in the woods.
And I remember one lunch we were all talking, and I think we were talking about the military and who had served. And you know, we're just audio for those who can't see Newton. He didn't really have the appearance of an ex-soldier in my eyes, but when he raised his hand and said, you know, he was a Marine, I was kind of my jaw kind of was like, oh no way, get the hell out of here.
Well, like looks can be deceiving with Marines.
Totally.
In order to survive as a Marine too, I mean, look, we see them all the time in the movies, right? They're usually big and yoked, but in order to sustain that in an actual battlefield or in training, you need a lot more water and a lot more calorie intakes while you're burning 6,000 calories per day. So it's tougher. You'll see a lot of slender, shorter, skinnier ones too, but that's what it takes to do a 25-mile hump.
Man, Newton, tell us about. Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to ask. I apologize if I missed it. What did you do on Expedition Bigfoot with Bryce?
Well, I started off as PA, and then I was camera assistant, and I did some of the lighting too, tweaking it to make sure we had, you know, some good highlights, some cake, some fill, backlight, all that in the woods and inside the Alaskan house that we had, you know, put up.
So you're out there with you're doing the trekking through on the hunts with everybody.
In a sense, yeah, we're trekking to that set.
Yeah, that's the hike.
Oh yeah.
So Newton, tell us about how your service in the military, because as I introed you up here, you have quite an incredible story to tell. I guess in your own words, man, just sort of I guess start wherever you'd like and walk us through your story, Newton.
It's a wild one, but yeah, so it all had to do with basically I did live a party life at first, you know, I was very young, 1920s, all that. And then with all the Mortarmans, which is a base plate with the tube and a tripod legs, basically, I'm launching high explosives, white phosphorus, red phosphorus, and smoke grenades. And being like I think 125 pounds or 130 pounds, it's, you know, it just echoed through my body and my system. So after a while, so many of that in training purposes and everything kind of just ruptured, and it didn't, you know, my body kind of gave out a few years later when I was outside of the military, which was terrible, obviously. But yeah, all that. And then not to mention my ears, since as a Mortarman, even though, you know, what's it called? Our ears are about 6 to 12 inches away from the base plate and tube as it's going off. So yeah, people ask if we have those earplugs and stuff, but if you've looked in the news, 3M is still being sued after a whole decade because they gave us, you know, crappy little rubber ones, and you only get those big headsets when you're on artillery, you know, which is a lot more bigger and powerful. But with these other ones, you know, they give you just little rubber beads or pellet things to put in your ear, and that's about it. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. It's the wildest thing. And, you know, you'd think we'd be taking care of our military, you know, in better ways, especially with all the money that we get from other countries and, you know, our tax help from our, you know, our citizens here and our, you know, our federal government. But it's just not the case.
That sucks.
So have you suffered hearing loss then, or are you?
Oh
yeah.
Bryce knows. Like when I lean in to talk to people on on the outside, kind of lean in like a dog because my left ear only works. The right ear is fully blown and gone. They try to put steroid treatment shots in there, and it just gave way completely. Oh. But I mean, that's the small part, right?
Okay. Yeah, Newton, tell us what happened a few years after you got out of the military.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I'm 34 right now. This happened when I was 23. This was about 2012-ish, around June. And I was just leaving my friend's place, and I actually was completely sober too. I was taking care of my body, so I thought. And then after I left, I took about 20 paces outside, and I collapsed. I felt a rupture, a pop, a tear, like near the heart area, which is very strange. You don't really actually feel any, even if you have palpitations, you don't feel it like in that sense because it's not exactly that type of muscle that we feel or skin being torn outside where we get cut or something, because we always feel that. But inside, this is something that shouldn't happen and doesn't happen unless you're about 50 years old. But it happened to me, and I was about the youngest person in America to actually go through it. 1 out of 10 million, they said, would go through this and survive it too, which was even rarer. Yeah. So I had the option of, felt like I was bleeding out, but then again, I was still young, right? 23, thought I was Superman, So I get up, feel that. It's the strangest feeling ever. I go to my car, end up getting in, and at the time I was smoking cigarettes. I did not want to smoke any cigarettes while I was driving home. I had the windows rolled down, no music playing, and I could have went to my apartment and just collapsed, died within sleep, because right now I'm bleeding out internally with my heart there. And so I drive to my parents' place. They told me I had parallel parked the car, which is surprising too, because I was in and out, like literally death's door type of stuff. Don't remember much of that drive. I was stuck on the I-5, I remember, which bothered the living crap out of me. But it's like traffic everywhere.
Yeah, getting stuck on the I-5 on a good day sucks. When you're literally bleeding internally. Now, did you know? You obviously knew it was bad, but did you know, oh fuck, I'm dying, or were you just trying to power? Was adrenaline taking over? Were you powering through it? What was going on?
Well, I had been through a lot of scary situations, and adrenaline was always a key factor in my life with the training and all the stuff that I had to go through too. So I thought it was just, a strange thing. I've had strange occurrences happen before, but this one was, definitely different. And I'm glad I took other precautions instead of just being that young kid that I was at the time and just shrugging it off. I went to my parents. I collapsed there, and that's where my father took me to the hospital. And as I was, going into the hospital too, I'm in and out again. I only see snippets. And so I was in the waiting room, and I tried getting these different tests being done too. And at the time, these people at the hospital thought I was just a 23-year-old seeking opiates or Percocets, Well, and I understood that completely because, young, you want to party, you want to live it up to the fullest. But as I'm there, I'm blacking out again. It's 4 hours pass by. They finally do some type of CT scan and other scans near the heart, and they realize that it's a aorta tear, an aortic dissection, which is one of the worst for men. We go through a lot of heart-related issues, but this one is the holy grail of it because it's in a spot where it's almost unreachable, especially in the time you usually bleed out in 10 to 20 minutes, but I'm going on 4 hours plus.
God. Oh my God.
The total went to actually 8 hours too, but we'll get to that in a second. So as I'm there, what?
No, I was just going to say, keep going. We're speechless.
It's completely unreal. And so I'm in the waiting room, and finally some of those doctors, that they did the scans and everything, they actually did not want to work on me. Anyone in that hospital, I don't have the papers on me right now, but I forgot which one it was in Orange County that I was at. But it was way above them, and they had to fly in a professional surgeon. I remember he was a a biker too, you know, motorcyclist, really cool, and they pick him up on a helicopter. You know, like this guy's living in Beverly Hills.
This surgeon is the coolest guy. You know,
it's like Doctor Strange. You know, I work with my hands.
They're like, hold on. We have to open up a portal to the Sanctum Sanctorum for this guy. He's coming in from Greenwich Village.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Of course, yeah. So, you know, they fly him in, and this is where things get a little, even, you know, it's just like, it's like a movie almost playing out in front of me, because none of them, remember, they did not want to work on me. It would mess up their report, you know, of them saving lives, this and that, and maybe they just didn't have it up to par with that. With the skills, you know. So he walks in through the front, and I see all the nurses while I'm in and out, and the doctors too. They're making like a line, two parting waves, you know, like in the sea, where he's just walking through, and everyone's just bowing down with their head and, you know, their hands. And I'm like, yeah, is this guy a prophet? What is this? You know?
Coming to save the day.
You're like, okay, maybe I'm in good hands.
Yeah. And so this is where it escalates, you know, and I get the bad news, which I'm already dealing with bad news, but I mean, to add on to it, compounding it, he's saying that my options are either it's a 5% chance of like survival on any basis, which I'm not a gambling man, but I know that's like basically 0%, you know, we're right there.
Yeah.
And he was just sugarcoating it in a sense. So he says you can either die in the waiting room or you might die in the operating room. And I'm like, whoa, let's give it a shot with the operating room because I'm too young, you know? Wow. And yes, from that point on, everything else was recited to me by the doctors and, you know, my parents that were there too, because the information from that point on was where I ended up flatlining for a little over 2 minutes. And my heart rate went through, what was it, about 250 over 180. It was just up and down. And they had to do this, you know, when you see corpses, right, you see the T shape where they drilled in, they take out all the appendixes and stuff like that. Well, for my situation, since I was alive and I needed to be fully functioning after that if I were to survive, they had to break all of my ribs and use a bone saw to get in and pry out my heart, put that on ice, then make another suture near a main artery down on my right leg, you know, near the groin, and to put a mechanical heart to keep mimicking the heartbeat and pumping the blood through this metallic system. Yeah. So
you're like,
go ahead, Michael.
I was like, you're RoboCop at this point. Like you're just a cyborg.
I've said that many times. Exactly. Yeah.
Newton, this is really hard to listen to. Is it hard to talk about?
No, I mean, this is why, for me, you've heard me with comedy and joking and stuff. And the reason, you know, when I knew you worked on Death Valley, acting for that actually was one of the shows that when I was on bed rest, and I love dark comedy and dark aspects of it, black comedy, all that, satire. So that actually, those types of shows did help me a lot too, because I'd rather laugh at death than fucking, you know,
hell yeah, man,
let it beat me up mentally like that. So, you know, embrace it, you know. Yeah, it's not always going to be pretty, life.
Dude, so Newton, I've known you now for 17 minutes and 13 seconds, and I think maybe you're the bravest guy I've ever met.
Fucking like, right, dude.
It's wild.
Newton, take us back to the flat line. What happens after that?
So they're working on it on ice, the heart, and they put a synthetic nylon attachment to the aorta. The aorta is what? The main valve, as we know, right? Main valve that cranks blood to our heart. So that was the thing that tore open. Not exactly my heart. My heart is still good to go, but they had to put this synthetic nylon strap around it. And that thing, if you look it up, it actually, I was sketch about it too, but it actually fuses your body parts right there together. And you can live up to like 80, 90, 100, you know. And even Einstein died from what I had too, about 4 weeks later. But because he was born at a different time, that aortic dissection killed him off in 5 weeks.
Damn.
It's unreal.
Wow.
So they ended up patching me up, and I was in 3 days in a coma. My father, who was a professional photographer and colorist, only took one picture of me because it was too much to deal with for him. You know, his only son, his only child, actually. So that was, you know, something else. And my mother's there too. She made sure she brought in all my friends that were there. You know, the real ones showed up, of course, and then the other people that weren't there is what it is. You know, we're young. Some people are there, some people aren't. And, you know, we learn from that and we move on. But the real ones that were there, you know, I've known them for maybe 15 years or 10 years, 8 years, and they're still here in my life.
Wow.
So it's good to have those types of people in your corner, you know?
So now, when you're in the coma, you hear stories of people being like, I could hear you. I knew I could hear you when I was there. Do you have any memories of being in the coma?
Oh, yeah, I do, which is, for me, it was insane. See, I know what what's it called? It's the drug that...
Oh, sorry.
Well, the drug that releases the brain chemicals, right, when you're just about
methyltryptamine?
to die. Something
DMT?
Like that, right? Yeah, DMT, exactly. See, I knew what was happening with that part of fading in, but then after that tapered off is where, like, I went into not a trippy realm where it just became reality for me. And those 3 days, it felt like 3 weeks for me. So I was there for quite some time, losing my shit on reality, but you know, I had to deal with it.
Yeah. So walk us through this, I guess, realm, for lack of a better word, that you're in. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
Well, I was going to say, can we start even with the DMT flooding that you were aware of, and then like take us through each step?
I was a little confused about that. Newton, you said, was this a drug they gave you, or
no? It's actually a natural drug in our brain and our body.
Yeah. So you felt that, yeah, we've done a whole episode on DMT, and so, but you felt that it was this rush of your own DMT that was sort of giving you this altered state of consciousness while you're in your coma.
Yeah, because it was funky outer body experience type thing, and it could have also been, you know, some drip that they gave me too of pain meds and killers too that led me into that. And I mean, for that one, it was like clearly obvious that it was just deranged, crazy dream type escape, where my head was like on, not exactly on a plate, I couldn't see it like that, but for me, I was not able to move, and people were working around me and all around me and everything too. And I actually thought I was, for some reason, in a Walmart of all places.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a strange one. So it
like
was
on
just,
a Walmart,
you know,
shelf, like you were sitting on a shelf.
Yeah, well, I was in the back room, like, you know, where they have like the janitorial area or something, you know, or where they have the medications and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I can see a hospital kind of has a back room of Walmart kind of vibe.
Yeah. Walmart stock room feel. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But
I just like this idea of you being consciously aware of, like, okay, here comes the DMT flooding out of my brain.
Listen,
that's a sign that I'm dying.
Too.
You know
Still
what I
have
mean?
yet to black out. I've always remembered everything, and I love remembering everything too. I'd rather not forget things, even if it sucks, you know. I'd rather take that and keep moving and learn from my mistakes too. I don't know. It could just be that I was born like that too, where my mind is always like that. Also, the reason why I survived too was, with this body that I have triple the amount of white blood cells than most people. It's one of those things out of millions, which is why my body didn't bleed out in 20 minutes. I bled out for 8 hours. So my body was literally patching and patching out of those 14 blood transfusions too. I got hepatitis B from one of the bags too. But and a coma too, pneumonia too. And when I woke up, they said, you know, like a week later, they were like, "No, your body just completely eradicated the Hep B," you know. And I was like, "What the hell," you know? That's why they took some more blood samples on me too, and they, you know, told me how many white blood cell count I have, which usually means that you'd have cancer at that age. But for me, it worked in a different way to be utilized and have a purpose.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. And this is the weirdest part too. I mean, they're all weird parts for my stuff, but I'm on bed rest, right? And I'm supposed to be on bed rest for basically about 6 years. So I miss out on all my 20s after that. Now I'm 34, right? So I'm living my second life. Drake said, YOLO, You only live once. He was wrong about that shit. I'm on my second. But yeah, so 5 weeks later on bed rest is where I'm just reading IMDb reviews, and I'm already there, just relaxing, going through it. It's intense, crazy, the pains, the feels all over my body, shooting pains. It's insane. I wish that on no one. But so I'm reading those IMDb reviews, and then all of a sudden, as I'm reading it, English just begins to fade away, and my heart rate starts going up. So I'm thinking, oh my God, is this like another heart attack or some more BS? And I was with my parents. I had lost, everything. So I lost 5 things in 1 month: my girlfriend, my car, my job, my apartment, my life. So I'm back at square one with no money, and I'm at my parents' place. And that's when a stroke takes on me. So I'm feeling all this heat going, and I'm in so much pain already that my heart is just going through yet again. And the one natural thing I wanted to say and scream out and bellow out was, "Help me, Mom," or something like that. And I couldn't even say those words, which brought tears to my eyes. Like, the one communication tool to get to your family, the ones that you love, and you can't even do that. Man. So I said, shit, fuck, piss, bitch, shit like that. Apparently, when you're having a stroke, those types of curse words are ingrained into our brain. I found out from a neuroscience guy, doctor that helped me out with that later. Whoa. So I had to relearn how to walk and talk again, because they said the stroke was like a level 31 out of 34, which is pretty fucking high. So I was basically a paraplegic. And so I'm dealing with that again 5 weeks later in the hospital. And I'm like, a lot of people have always asked me too, why didn't you give up? What, or, did you ever think about it? And it's like, of course I thought some dark thoughts too, but at the same time, I love my life, no matter how hard and disgusting it's gotten, and, trials and tribulations I've had to deal with. I still love this life that I've been, given. Whatever mystical being or entity or aliens, is out there. I'm grateful for it. So I'm not going to piss away my life like that. I'll fight it no matter what.
Yeah, and you were given a body that was like, no, I'm going to help you fight this, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to fight this no matter. God, yeah, life is crazy like that. So, yeah, I have that stroke. I learned how to walk again. I'm crawling around like a little baby. It took me a few months for that too. And learning the whole English language, it was there, right? I can understand people in my head. I couldn't read or write or speak, though.
That was wild. Something. Yeah. That's wild.
Whoa. How long did that last?
That was like another 3 months type of situation. Even still, I was a bit shaky with walking too, and all that. And actually, the speech part took me like about a whole year to get it fully back too. I had some slight stutters and missteps with speaking, or it was like grabbing words out of the sky, thin blue air. Like you know that what that word is that you're trying to acquire and put into your sentence and structure and all that, but it's just. It doesn't come easy, it's
well, I don't know, Newton. A lot of people listening to this podcast right now are saying, I think he's describing Michael and Bryce.
Could be. Who knows?
Newton, I want to sort of, this is so just, I want to get to that space where you flatlined and you told me that you had remembered, basically you thought you were dead at that point, but you were passing through, but you were conscious. Can you talk to us about that experience of, I guess let's call it what it is, your near death experience?
Yeah, of course, without a doubt. This was those 3 days that felt like 3 weeks, right? So with this, I mean, this is where my body or my orb, my entity, where I was like awoken up in this, and it was like a as above, so below type place for me.
Yes.
I did not pass fully through whatever this realm was, and I can tell that this was completely different because everything became a reality here, and it did really make sense too. But so
everything in the What do you mean everything became a reality? Like the reality that we exist in, or the plane that
like
you
our
were
consciousness right now, right here. We know this is our reality. We're dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. This suddenly became my reality, where I was dealing with it on a minute to daily basis. So for me, I understood this, and I was like, well, life's shit already. Well, I'm gonna take this one on too. So I'm being transported, basically, for lack of better terms. This is, what is it? They say when you're in that a limbo, right? Mm-hmm. That's basically where, my body, my entity, my soul, whatever have you, that's where I was. And I was on a bus, and all the people that were around me in the hospital where I just flatlined, they were kind of relatively on the same bus, but not moving at all and not saying anything. It was like avatars that were not awoken yet in this realm.
Wow.
And they were the closest ones around me. So I could tell that they were in and out depending on how far they were away from my body. It felt like,
wow.
in this realm that we're in right now. So it was touch and go on that one, because on the outside of where I was looking on this transportation device thing that I was on, I can hear people screaming. I could see, disgusting things, some stabbing, some rapes, a lot of criminal activity, people up to no good, beings up to no good. So,
like on the bus with you, or are you looking?
I see it outside. Yeah,
outside the bus.
It was terrible. Yeah. It was like a hell on earth type of situation.
This is not the typical, like, white light, loving hands.
No, not yet.
Right.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So you're on a transport system basically moving through what people would describe as a living hell.
Yeah.
Outside the window. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they have not passed go. They haven't collected $200 yet,
Right, right.
Well, kind of them to at least put you on some transport device, so they're like, you don't have to walk through this part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was very grateful for that too. I was like, fuck, I've already done a lot of 25-mile humps. Thank you for at least giving me these wheels.
Yeah.
Did you have a sense that what you were seeing was like other people's lives ending? Is that what that seemed
lives
like?
ending, or when the people we've heard in the past, and other people too, of living their last moments, or what they've done over and over, being stuck in that on a daily basis type of stuff. So
the violence that people inflicted on people, they're stuck in that loop of violence that they've inflicted.
God.
So the hell that they created, they're living in a sense.
Do you think that has something to do with ghosts, that replaying of trauma? Like, do you think it leaves an imprint in our physical world, and maybe that's what people are seeing as ghosts?
Oh, without a doubt, too. I mean, we've all, we've heard things go bump in the night, a lot of us, and some people try to switch it off, right? But I like to listen to. I'm here for it. Give me your best shot. But this one, I didn't really want this shot, but I had to deal with it anyway.
So what happens after you're on the bus? Where are you going? What happens next?
I arrive. So at this point, I'm arriving to one of 3 locations. Again, everything's going to be falling into basically threes at this point. After I told you 3 days in a coma, 3 weeks, it felt like that I was there. And now I'm going to be going through 3 different types of realms.
Whoa.
And and also, to add on to that too, before I forget, after I woke up, I asked the doctor too, because I'm going to get to it soon. There was this entity, a being that I never saw her face, just glowing orbs, colors everywhere, all over the face. Beautiful voice. Her name was Amy, and it's also 3 letters, which adds to this weird mystery. But when I asked the doctors and surgeons if there was an Amy looking over me while I was out, they said, no, there hasn't been an Amy here that worked here for 3 years. So I'm like, what in the hell in this universe of 3 that is fucking me?
So
it's unreal. Yeah. So I arrived to this one place, the first one, and this one was basically like a temptation test, I guess, right? So for me, I walked through these little dark little tunnel to this, and all of a sudden it becomes like this whole 1920s vibe temptation for me. And the alcohol,
what type of libations of women, booze, and drugs?
Yeah, and I could tell it was 1920s. I was always obsessed with this in my life. I don't know why, at a very young age, too. These types of like Italiano places and dealings, you know. But so I hear one other lady and screaming, like, "Get me the hell out of here!" She was like stuck in a seat too, which was I found odd too. Like, you know, if you want out, just walk on out. And then I realized that no, she's stuck here with me too, in a sense, and she's not dealing with it like how I'm trying to deal with it. I don't know how to deal with this, of course, but I'm trying to take in as much as I can around it. And
wait, that's so important what you said. You said she's not dealing with it. You're trying to deal with it. Like, do you think that the way people may handle what happens when we pass, like, I mean, maybe when you pass, there's still some trials to overcome. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's like, it's like that all the time, you know? And, unfortunately, people can get stuck in that loop like we were talking about. And that could just, you know, if you can't crack that loop, then you're stuck in this whole mental loop where our mind is our most powerful tool, right? It'll work against us if we don't work with it. That's why we get anxiety attacks, panic attacks, all these things that can work against us. So I've had to deal with that my whole life after this too. Those panic attacks, anxiety attacks lasted for 6 to 7 years. It was a daily basis. And at the stroke of 6 p.m. every day, my heart would go through it. My mind would go through it. And I would put myself in this cataclysmic disorder and just going crazy with it. But
I want to get back. I want to get you back to these themes of temptation, because these are very worldwide common themes. These temptations of people who are outdwelling in outer spaces. And there's so what happens after the? Talk to us about temptation and what comes next after this.
All right, yeah. So from that temptation room, I'm dealing with it, you know, and I'm getting offered left and right of drugs and alcohol there by the bartender. And, you know, normally I would want a beer or brew on this one. But since everything was just, you know, turned upside down on this one, I didn't want anything to do with that because I just went through hell already. So I start to see that orb, that lady, the entity thing that's just like full of color. Cannot see her face. It's beautiful as hell with those colors. And then to the left, I see like this shadowy figure with long black hair and these black rubber gloves on. And I can't see his face, but it's dark, shadowy textures out there. And so she has this nice angelic voice of, you know, some sort of a being that's, you know, positive rather than dark and negative. So I end up going to her. There's like a beautiful door too. She's telling me, you know, it's okay. Come over here. It'll be all right. Just follow me, follow my voice. So I was like, okay, that's like the most, you know, nicest clue I've had so far. So I'll go to that. And then
it's like you're in a maze. It's like you're in a maze of the underworld. I want to I want you to clarify for our audience, because so many people talk about like this space feels realer than real. Like, were you able to tell that like this didn't have the general characteristics of a dream or a hazy like sleep thing? You can you talk to us about your senses?
Yeah, I could feel very real and act upon all my decisions here. This wasn't like a dream where you know.
Okay.
You know it and you can understand it, that, you know, you're moving slower or anything. This was like, it was real to me in every sense. I can feel, I can talk, and I can think with my own conscious here. And I wasn't moving at light speeds per second. You know, when our dreams were going so fast or so slow. This was at that common pace that we're living and breathing right now.
Wow.
So,
and you would describe this place, if you gave it a name, you would say, I'm in limbo. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. It was a passing of souls, you know?
Purgatory, limbo.
Purgatory. Purgatory. Yeah, exactly. That one.
Purgatory. That's it.
Yeah, definitely there.
So you follow this deity, this feminine deity, or whatever it is. And what happens then?
So this is where I go through, how was it? The the positive side of like my life, things I've done well. This is why so that first room was like temptations. It was just like the medium. I feel like a test, right? When I woke up, that's what I gathered from it. But so this one was like, trials and tribulations. I was faced with 3 kind of death door here, you know? So this next one was like just kind of flashbacks, I guess, too, and living and going through it, and watching myself doing good things, good acts of kindness, you know, helping people out, not just myself. The memories that I've made, and it like started to bring like tears to me, you know, because I had missed those memories. I was very fond of it, but I just felt like it wasn't my time to just pass on yet, which is why I felt like I was stuck in this limbo.
This is the what's called the life review that so many people talk about. You know, when they have like a.
I went through it fully too. It doesn't. Whew.
Yeah. What do you think that is? It's like, I mean, so many people think that, like, you know, we're put here for a reason, and maybe even like our souls sort of choose the path for our best growth. And it's like when we're done, it's like, okay, like after action combat, you know what I mean? What went wrong? What went right? How did we do?
Summary report, right?
Right.
It's like the judgment day of you know, your soul, your life, your force. Wow. So that's what I kind of gathered from this too. And usually, people, they, you know, from some of the stories, they end up like kind of blanking out from all these things. But for some reason, my body was so like shell shocked from what I went through, the trauma. Out of millions of people, I was left with this body that was being worked on in an odd fashion that just still wasn't. It's still not even in the norms today, too, because that, you know, I'm still the youngest in America that went through an aortic dissection like that. So, you know, what I went through really traumatized my body so much that, like I said, I was on 6 years of bed rest, like the cabin fever I had to go through. Unreal.
Oh, my God. I remember you telling me, you said, I remember everything about, you know, when I was like, I want to know everything about it. So now after you have this sort of life review, what's the third step? What's the third thing?
This is where it gets a little more like dicier again. Cause they gave me, or whatever gave me that little sweet spot, you know, to cheer me up and make me think, I guess, and whether I want to pass on or if it is even in my power to pass on. So the next part is where I was going through the negative of my life. And I'm not a saint. When I was young, this is why I joined the military too. I needed discipline. I was committing a lot of burglaries, GTA, grand larceny. I was almost facing 3 to 5 years in jail for some of that stuff. And I end up joining the military and doing my service through that and trying to better myself instead of going down a dark path. So, you know, I had to learn a different way. And, you know, my parents were always there for me. Really good family I had. So this was, you know, of all my own natural doing, you know, so I had to get that discipline my own self and find it my own self. I was not going to be babied into this one for once, you know. No one's holding my hand.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So the negativity on this one, I saw everything that I went through, and my body, whatever the orb that I was in. Mind you, I was not in a full body throughout any of this too, which really bothered me.
Okay, great. That was just my question: is like, what do you look like in this realm?
Yeah, no, I was some type of circular bubble of color too. Not fully like that Amy lady, but I was glowing in a sense too, and radiating, still full of life, while other people had this dark, you know, like dark imagery, you know, going on. Just seemed foul, but I guess, you know, it's what we do. The choices out here too. I don't know how many levels to this world and how many other are after it, but I do know, like, you got to love yourself. Self-care is great too. And also, you know, it doesn't hurt yourself to actually help out other people too, you know. We don't have to live these lives of violence all the time. If it's good that you can get out of it, sure, you know, please, you know, give it your own best shot too.
Or even solitude beyond violence, just like living, like being acts of service are things that fill our souls. Oh yeah, for lack of a better term, with light is what it seems like you're saying.
Yeah. You can live a quaint life too. It's good.
Newton, I have a question. Was this sort of female entity or energy. Was she your host in this third sort of review, the negative review, or was she that same sort of patron in that
I feel like it was like a guardian, you know?
Right.
Maybe I knew her from a different past life or something, or maybe she was connected to me on the other side and watching over me. I have no idea on that, but she definitely wanted to take care of me, and it seemed like she was pretty adamant about that.
Did you feel like you ever met your creator?
No, that was right after the final room, after the negative stuff that I had to overcome and see and take into my head. So I arrive after that. Again, that dark figure too at the third room was there, and Amy was there too in the glowing door. So I followed that one yet again. Felt like I was making good decisions finally.
Yeah, right. Important to say. The Egyptians talk about this. This is the trial of the underworld. There are gates to pass, and there are locks to turn.
Oh yeah. Oof. So after I leave that final room, I'm
how long were you in that room? You keep saying, or you said that it felt like weeks.
5 to 6 weeks throughout all that stuff too. I got to know some beings there, but some of it faded in and out too. This is like, I can only remember certain parts that really struck me in the gut and in the head that I took in fully, you know, those impactful moments. The other B-list characters, you know, they were there too, but it didn't hit me and resonate, or didn't hold true to that with the clues and everything I could gather.
So you're spending time in these rooms. It's not just like, okay, here's a 2-minute movie of the bad things you did.
No, yeah.
You're spending some time there.
It was dark and gritty, yeah. It's full on. So I had to deal with it and live it and
roll out your sleeping bag.
You're reliving.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be stuck in these situations and this realm for quite more time too.
And it's you reliving it, not just watching it play in front of your eyes. Right?
No, yeah. This is me full on having to interact with it, touch, feel. I could still feel too. I did the whole, pinching myself too, and I'm pinching, I guess, like my light, which was even weirder too. And I was like,
right,
this ain't right. I'm going for it.
Weird.
Yeah. Wow. Everything felt a little more extreme too, more than what we feel out here. But it felt like we were more in touch with ourselves out there too.
Without the limitations of the physical body. Yeah,
because we can't always control ourselves here. And, we only use 20% of our brain the entire time too when we have access to 100, but we can only do 20%. Out there, I had access to everything, which was like all of a sudden I was playing it. I was playing chess out here, not checkers out on Earth.
Oh my God.
So you survive the weeks-long ordeal of the third room, and you follow Amy through a door of light. What's on the other side of that door?
She disappeared right after through that. And this was like some weird dark corridor tunnel with some light at the end of it too. Not exactly the blissful light that we all talk about and want to know about down here, but nevertheless, it was like a lot of bodies and souls in a line. There might have been other lines too, but on this one that I was on, that's what I knew and I took in. And as I approached the front of it, there was like this box glowing with like a white light. It was in a square box, and it looked beautiful too, but it also had like a dark texture on all sides of it with those white striped lights on it. And I sit on that, and in front of me, there's like this podium type of thing. And I felt like this was like the actual judgment time, like the bringer of all. Yeah. And I can't really see this person's face either, or whatever the hell that was. But I tried to make out some like final words for this, asking the questions of, what is the purpose and what is the meaning to all this, those, what we all kind of wake up with every once in a while, asking what's the purpose is on, Earth. So he says something, scrambled something. And, I guess since I was still being judged or being sent back down, it was not my time to cross. And it's just probably too intense and potent for my earthly body and soul still, It's not my time yet, which what I was gathering. And from that point on, I did, I heard like a gavel go down, and I sunk into this box that I was sitting on, and I fell through it. And that's where I was going like 1,000 miles per hour.
Oh my God.
Rushing through air, wind, and everything. I could feel it. It was loud as fuck, ripping through my ears. And I feel like little fingertips like holding my body all across and down while I'm falling through the sky. Whoa. And then all of a sudden, I land into my body. A doctor's pulling 3 cords out of my stomach, which is for the nutrients that I was in that rotating bed to keep my body with the blood flow and nutrients, going, so I don't rot away like that. And yeah, I'm all of a sudden back in my body, and I just acquired all this trip and knowledge and life force that I was dealing with on that other side. And it was so fresh in my mind that it just stung me that I couldn't let go of it. And I didn't want to let go of it too. I know a lot of people would be bothered by it too. But for me, this was almost like some strange turn on where I was just like, I want to know more. I want to know what's out there, what I went through, and has anyone else gone through it?
The illusion of just the material plane and the view of that we are just a bag of bones and that's it, washed away.
It's tough, yeah.
Not to put words in your mouth, but you get a sense that more than a sense that, oh my God, what they were saying was right all along. There's more to this life than just what we see.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So I've always wondered that too. A lot of people will say, "What, like, when we die, we just kind of just die, and it's just black and nothing, and that's it." But have you ever tried to think about your conscious right now abruptly ending, and all the knowledge and information that you've gathered, and your consciousness just abruptly ending? There is no before, there is no after. Everything that you acquired, it just terminates itself. Where does that go to? Because we're all still living and still dealing with this consciousness too. It doesn't. I feel it just doesn't end like that. It does carry on. It's so powerful. Everything that you're thinking right now, all those neurons, all that activity that's connected to you, how does that just end like that?
Yeah. Alan Watts used to say, "We are on a data collection mission." You know what I mean? And it's so true. Like, that stuff doesn't just go away. I think, that stuff does live on. And man, first of all, so many things running through my head. I guess I'll start with, I just want to say, and I'll probably, speak for all of us here. We thank you so much for your service, first and foremost.
Thank you.
And then second, man, thanks for sharing this with us. I asked you before, had you ever shared this story before? And I had never really heard you tell it, Newton. I mean, I know I told you to sort of save it for the podcast. Luckily here we are. Yeah. But I've scanned some of the literature on near-death experiences, but what you're talking about strikes a lot of the parallels of what can be read in the vast literature that's out there on the subject,
No, exactly, yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people do have other stories too. They might be still afraid to even show them too. Or, I did have like fear, like I told you about a few months ago, of actually saying this too, because I'm not trying to bother anyone with religious aspects or anything. Mind you, I didn't see any of that there. I just saw a lot of beings and souls and stuff. Nothing that we've acquired on Earth like that. We all kind of, I feel like, end up in the same type of realm. We all bleed red.
Yeah,
at least down here.
And I mean, I feel like you're echoing some of the stuff that we've talked to. Some stuff that we've talked to with mediums in terms of like, it's just another place that you walk into. It's another room. You know what I mean? The idea of like the other side is just this place that you go after you pass. And but you could also, I could see if you wanted to look at what you were looking at through a biblical lens, you have your limbos, you have your living hells, you have your angels, you have your demons, you have your judgment by St. Peter. It may not look the same iconography that we grew up with like feathered wing entities and a man with a long white beard, but it all had the same sort of impact. So it's a matter of interpretation as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah. See, I've studied a lot of religions too, and they all kind of have similar, things with all that too. Obviously, a little different here and there, but they're all and it's because we're spread out all across the world too. So every type of religion has impacted that land, and they have been guidelines for so long too. You know, they've become rules before we had police and government and all that. So we've all lived like that for thousands upon thousands of years. You know, apparently we're 40,000 years going strong on this earth. So who knows what was before? The time of 4000 BC. You know, we still have yet to uncover most of that too. They just found another body in England. It was like a 43,000-year-old man that had some type of arrow shot through his skull too, but they dialed it back to 43,000 years ago. Yeah, and this guy was like 65 years old, living a good life.
Man. History's up for grabs, man. You know, there's so much more to the human story than what we're taught in our schools.
More ways than one. Newton, I had to do a little Google when you talked about Amy. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard this term. There's something called the Lesser Key of Solomon, which is this demonology grimoire from the mid 17th century. Nobody knows who. It's an anonymous author, but it's been like reinterpreted.
Legendary
over time.
Yes.
This is where there's like lists of like all the presidents and dukes and demons of hell and all this stuff, and they all have like really cool, like, sort of medieval looking. Like, this is a guy who's riding on like a 2-headed donkey, and this is a guy riding on a spider. But there is a fallen angel in the Lesser Key of Solomon whose name is Amy.
All right.
And Amy is described as one of the presidents, appearing initially as a flame before turning into a human form. Now, they genderize Amy as a he, but that doesn't necessarily mean one thing or another.
Exactly.
He is claimed to teach astronomy, liberal arts, give familiars, so your animals or your buddies, incite positive reactions from rulers, and reveal treasures. Also, according to all sources, he rules over 36 legions of demons. He was both in the order of angels. He was also in the order of angels and powers, and holds the futile hope of returning to the seventh heaven after 12 centuries. So
he could be living out a term too, like Constantine.
Yeah, a positive force that is down in the lower circles, maybe limbo, close to hell, maybe trying to do some help for you. I mean, just the idea of like, here we go, appearing initially as a flame. Well, what's a flame and what's a bunch of glowing orbs? It's a matter of interpretation. Yeah. It's there. I don't know if this is what you encountered, but it is funny that I was like, well, there you go. There's literally a demon named Amy who's a fallen angel in the Lesser Key of Solomon. And there's some clues out there. I don't know.
The servants like that, I mean, I feel like if they're in that realm that I was in, they kind of serve as that medium, that passageway where they're probably serving, if they are, right, both good and evil,
Absolutely. And I wanted to jump in there and say, hey, don't be distracted by the polarity of good, evil, God, devil, fallen angel, guardian angel. We're all talking about a whole. These are just divisions of the whole. And so Michael, you pointing that out is so astute because, there are these patrons that guide our souls to wherever, although thankfully for Newton
and they can't be biased.
It wasn't his time. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're the one that puts bias on good, evil, and whatnot. But
exactly.
God,
if it has to come down to that. The weighing of a soul on the scales, I was born a Libra too, so I studied that very young, and I know everyone kind of hates Libras or they don't know anything about it.
I'm a Libra.
It happens, See?
Well, what's your birthday? I'm October 21st. So I'm on the tail end. Oh, I'm on the tail end.
Nice. Yeah.
9 divisible by 3. 3 times 3 is 9.
There you go.
On threes.
I'll just kind of end here. Science is starting to kind of catch up with this idea that there's more to just these near-death experiences than just neural firing. There was a Atlantic article in the 2015 issue called "The Science of Near-Death Experiences: Empirically Investigating Brushes with the Afterlife" by Gideon Lickfield. And at the end, It says written accounts of near-death experiences or things that sound like them date back at least to the Middle Ages, and some researchers say to ancient times. The medical journal Resuscitation recently published a brief account of the oldest known medical description of an NDE, or near-death experience, written by an 18th century French military doctor. But the modern era of research into near-death experiences is generally said to have begun in 1975 after Raymond A. Moody Jr., a philosopher turned psychiatrist, published his masterpiece, Life After Life, a book based on interviews with some 50 experiencers, a book I highly recommend not only for myself, but for perhaps you, the dear listener. Thank you, Newton. We appreciate the hell out of you, man.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me on this show. It's been a delight, and I wanted to always get out my story in my life. And I'm just honored to be here too, and to be alive.
Hell
yeah, we are too. We're thankful that you are alive.
That's the energy I got from Newton, by the way, was just like, this fucking dude is just so happy to be breathing. I got to know him.
I guess I'd like to ask one last question, which ties into that, is what did you take from that whole experience over there that you feel like you can apply on a day-to-day basis? Well, so for me, every day has actually been a blessing. I wake up feeling amazing, and I don't piss away anything that comes at me. I won't just say no to anything. I'm more of a yes man with some restraints, of course. But I like to meet people more out there now, and I will talk to a lot of younger folk too that are going through problems too, because I was there. I hit rock bottom. It was not pretty. And if there are any young listeners out there where you've had terrible issues dealing with life, or you're having debt problems, whatever it is, family problems, don't ever give up too. Keep fighting that fight, and things will get better. If you hit your rock bottom already, things are only on the up from here.
Hell yeah,
Beautiful.
Man. It's those dark places that we're going to find the jewel.
Exactly.
Newton, are you on Instagram? Is there any place you want to let our listeners know that they can follow you?
Yeah, definitely. I do a lot of gaffing, lighting, camera work, and I've DP'd a few music videos and a short film as well. I'm always busy with that. Got a few projects coming up. Love it. And that actually pushed me to pursue my career instead of running away from it. So my Instagram handle is cine.ward. That's cine.ward.
Great. Check it out.
Love it.
Awesome,
see, Michael,
man.
we didn't need a high strangeness story.
We really certainly did
you
not.
were right.
Yeah. But that
strange.
doesn't. I mean, you're right, but it doesn't feel intentional. But you're correct.
This is how I got through all of high school.
You still didn't read the calendar correctly. I will say that for the record.
Well, I guess this is where I wrap it up on Oops All Bryce. Thank you so much for listening to the Bigfoot Collectors Club. You know what we're going to say now. Find us on Cameo. Find us on our socials. Go to that excellent link tree that Michael created on our Instagram. It has all of our stuff. We want to thank our very special guest, Newton Ward, and we want to thank you, the listener. And as we always end
Bryce, may I, sir? May I say something, sir?
I'll allow it.
Okay, great, because we have a live show coming up in just a few days from now. Everybody go to popclounge.com Friday, December 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're doing our live show. Betsy Sidaro is going to be there. Sun Eaters will be playing. There will be some surprises. You can meet and greet me or Bryce or Riley after the show if you get a limited VIP pass. Check out all that information. All of that is available on our Instagram in that link tree that Bryce talked about. You watch from home, you put on your holiday pajamas, you get comfortable with a hot cup of cocoa. You can stream it wherever you're sitting. popclounge.com for tickets. Check it out. Friday, December 9th, the BCC Holiday Live Stream Show. You're not going to want to miss it. 9 p.m. Eastern.
There it is. Go get your tickets. Okay, boys, here we go. We're going to end this. And when I say good night, when I say Newton, Riley, and Michael, you're going to say go get regress. So thank you, good night, and
go get regress.
Get regress. Nailed it.
Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced by Riley Bray and Michael McMillan and scored and engineered by Riley Bray. Our theme song, Come Alone, is by Sun Eaters, courtesy of Lotus Pool Records. Do us a favor and support the show and unlock 3 bonus episodes every month by becoming a member of our Patreon, BCC The Other Side, which can be found at patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club.